Welcome to video lesson 8.6, where we'll look at multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. Go ahead and put today's date in the top right hand corner. And our target for today is that I can distribute a monomial to a polynomial to simplify expressions and solve equations. So when it comes to distribution, you have to go back to our rules about multiplying. So distributing a monomial to a polynomial means we're going to have to use our multiplying rules. Our rules for multiplying monomials were multiply the coefficients and add the exponents. So that's what we're still doing today. And then once we have multiplied, we have to remember to combine like terms as we simplify. So let's see an example of multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. So our first example has negative 2x squared times 3x squared minus 7x plus 10. So order of operations kicks in. You want to check inside your parentheses. We have a 3x squared and just an x. Can't combine them because their powers aren't the same. He doesn't have anything, so cannot do anything with my parentheses. So next is to say negative 2x squared is right beside of it. That means they're being multiplied, so we have to distribute. So it's going to be negative 2x squared times 3x squared. Then you always want to use the sign in front, so it's a negative, so it's going to be a negative 2x squared times a negative 7x, once again, using that sign in front. And then negative 2x squared times a positive 10. So now we take it one step at a time. We're going to treat this just like it was a monomial. So we're going to multiply our coefficient. So negative 2 times 3 gives us negative 6. And then we have the same base of x. So I'm going to add his powers. 2 plus 2 gives us x to the 4th. Now we move on to our next one. Negative 2x squared times negative 7x. So negative 2 times negative 7 gives us a positive 14. And they both have x's, so this is a 2 plus, this is technically x to the first, so a 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3, so x to the 3rd. Then lastly, negative 2x times 10. So multiply the coefficients and the constants. Negative 2 times 10 is negative 20, and x squared has no way to go with, so it drops down. Now we want to see if it can simplify. So we check for like terms. This is x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x to the 2nd. So they cannot simplify. And that's as far as we can go. That's our answer. Let's see another example of multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. So example 2 has 3d squared plus 5d minus, there we go, d squared minus 7d plus 12. So this actually has two parts. It has our first parenthesis, which doesn't simplify, and our second parenthesis, which does not simplify. So then we have to distribute again. So 4 times 3d squared. Drop down our plus sign. 4 times 5d. And also 4 is positive, so positive 4. And same way, always have to use that sign in front. So it's a negative d times a positive d squared. So negative d times a negative 7d. And then a negative d times 12. So now we come through and we just multiply one at a time. So 4 times 3d squared. Multiply the number, so 4 times 3 gives us 12. D squared's by himself. Alright, 4 times 5d. 4 times 5 is 20. Our d drops down. Now it's a negative d to the first times d to the second. So I have a 1 and a 2. But also, remember, that's like a negative 1 times a positive 1, which is going to be a negative. And then 1 plus 2 makes d to the third. Then negative d times negative 7. So once again, we pretend like that's a negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 7 makes a positive 7. And then we have 1 and 2 d's. So it'd be d to the second. Now our last one, negative d times 12, makes a negative 12d. Now we want to check for like terms, and we also want to arrange it in descending order. So what I like to do first is try to find my highest exponent. Who should be first here? So I have a negative d to the third, and then we check, do I have any other d to the thirds? Nope. So then I have a 12d squared, so plus 12d squared. Now I check for any other d squareds, and I have one here, so 7d squared, so plus 7d squared. And then I have a 20d, so plus 20d. And then my last one is a minus 12d. Now, we go through and we combine like terms. So negative d to the third doesn't have anybody to go with, so he just drops down. But I can say positive 12d plus 7d, or sorry, 12d squared plus 7d squared gives us 19d squared. And then 20d minus 12d gives us a positive 8d. Check again for like terms. That's d to the third, d to the second, d to the first, so can't go any farther. So that's our answer. Now, our next example, oh, where'd he go? There he is. Isn't an expression, it's an equation. And you can tell it's an equation because it has an equal sign in it. So it says y times y minus 12 plus y times y plus 2 plus 25 equals 2y times y plus 5 minus 15. So you always want to simplify everything first. So we're going to look inside of all of our parentheses. That's y minus 12, that doesn't reduce. Y plus 2, that doesn't reduce. Y plus 5, that doesn't reduce. So then we look at our first parenthesis here, and we say we have to distribute that y on the outside. So y times y. And it's a positive y, so plus y times, it's going to be a negative 12. And then a plus y times y. Once again, a plus y times a positive 2. And then my plus 25 drops down because he doesn't have anybody to distribute to him. He's all by himself. Now on the right side of my equal sign, I have 2y times y. Once again, he's positive, so plus 2y times a positive 5. And the 15 is like the 25. He has nobody to go with. He's not with the parentheses, so he just drops down. Now we come through and we multiply. Y times y, there's no coefficients, but I have a y to the first and y to the first. We add their exponents so that 1 and 1 makes 2. Y times negative 12 is negative 12y. Y times y is y squared again because I have 1 and 1 makes 2. And then y times 2 is 2y. And my 25 drops. And it equals 2y times y, so 2 has nobody to go with, so he drops down, and then y to the first and y to the first makes y squared. And then 2y times 5 gives us 10y, and my minus 15 drops down. Now we look to combine like terms. So I have a y squared plus y squared. And that will give me 2y squared. And then I have a minus 12y plus 2y. So negative 12y plus 2y gives me negative 10y plus 25 equals, and we look over here. Do I have any like terms over here? Nope, because he's a 2y squared plus 10y minus 15. Now this is solving the equation with variables on both sides. If you remember from previous lessons, we take our variables to the left. So I look to the left side of my equal sign, and I say, what's already there on the left? 2y squared. So I drop them down. And then do I say, do I have any y squares that need to come to the left? I do. That's a 2y squared. So he's positive, so when he comes over here, it becomes a negative 2y squared. And then we check, do I have any more variables? I do. I have a negative 10y, so he drops down. Then we say, do I have any more y's that need to come to the left? I do. That's a plus 10y, so when he comes over, he becomes a minus 10y. Now, all my variables are on the left, so I put all the numbers on the right. So I have a negative 15 already on the right, and a plus 25 that's going to come over to the right and become a minus 25. So now that I have everybody right where they need to be, I combine like terms. So 2y squared minus 2y squared gives me 0. So I don't have to write it. It cancels out. And then we have a negative 10y minus 10y gives us a negative 20y equals negative 15 minus 25 is a negative 40. We divide both sides by a negative 20. 20's cancel, and y equals negative 40 divided by negative 20 is a positive 2. And what that does is that solves our equation for y. So we've done two things in this lesson. We've solved it for a variable, and we've also done just expressions. So the first two examples we did are expressions because they have no equal signs. Then our last example we did is an equation because he does have an equal sign. And that finishes up for our 8.5 video. Thank you very much.